if they match with the wrong soul, they can bring an extraordinary amount of impurity to the world, extraordinary amount of pain to the world. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a much better system than we imagine, and He knows what's best, much more than what we do. Now, of course, some people don't necessarily like the system, so they say, yeah, but maybe that's relevant to the past, it's not necessarily relevant to today, and that's why you have the conservative, the reform, and unfortunately others that are even promoting intermarriage, promoting the Judeo-Christian relations to be stronger, and all types of other things like this. Even though Torah forbids such things, forbids it. Now, of course, a person needs to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the end of the parasha tells us a story of what happened. Happened that there was a woman that also wanted to beat the system in a little bit. Wanted to beat the system. What's the system? She wanted to be friendly, even though she's a slave in Egypt. It's horrible. They're killing babies. They're killing adults. There's an extraordinary amount of death everywhere, damage everywhere. People are missing limbs. People are missing eyes. People are suffering. And we are also not the only slaves. There are other nations there that are slaves too. And so there's an enormous amount of disaster. It's literally a much, much bigger Holocaust than the one that we have in our history books that happened 70 years ago approximately, that murdered 6 million Jews and millions of other non-Jews. What happened in Egypt was much, much worse. To be happy was literally impossible. But this young woman named Shelomit, she wants to be happy. How does she express her happiness? Hello, 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 hi, shalom, Shelomit, because she wants to say shalom to everybody, not just to her husband, not just to her kids. She wants to say hello to the neighbor. She wants to say hello to the other neighbor. She wants to say hello to the Egyptian that beat her and her husband. She wants to say hello to the Egyptian that may end up beating them later on. She wants to say hello to the Egyptian that just killed a few kids. She wants to say hello to everybody. Maybe because if I'm nice to them, maybe things will change. Who said that you're allowed to do such a thing? Who said that you're supposed to have platonic relationships with some guy? Who said that you're allowed to have a guy friend? Who said you're allowed to do such things? What? We're not. I know him. He's like my brother. Well, according to the Torah, he's actually forbidden to you just like your brother, because you're not married. So in regards to that, yeah, he is like your brother. Your brother's forbidden to you, and this guy's forbidden to you. At least with your brother, you're allowed to talk to, but this guy you're not allowed to talk to. So he's actually even worse than your brother. But unfortunately, people want to change the Torah. They want to custom make it. And Shelomit was one of those women. And what ended up happening is that one of those hellos landed on an Egyptian. The Egyptian said, oh, hello. You know what? Hello back. And he ends up raping her. And out of that rape comes this blasphemer. This blasphemer that the Chachamim, the Mekubalim, Arizal, say this blasphemer is actually the Gilgul of Cain. The Gilgul of Cain, the reincarnation of Cain, was split into multiple places. One was the Egyptian, one was Korach, one was this blasphemer. This would have to be another reincarnation, as I've mentioned in my shiur about Kabbalah and the discussing Christianity or Yeshu Yimach Shemo. This blasphemer gets reincarnated again into Yeshu HaNotzri, into Yeshu HaNotzri Yimach Shemo v'zichro. The Jew that ended up bringing more death to Jewish people in the last 2,000 years than anyone else in history, and literally being the source of all Tumah. Anyone that reads a little bit about some of the things that happen in the other side, the things regarding to Dibukim and so on, many times you see that the place of Tum'ah are constantly enticed or energized by Christianity, by the idolatry from Christianity. Literally, The Mekubalim say that the source, the leader of, or general, I would even say, in the place of Tumah in the world is Yoshke, is the Tumah that he created into the world. So this already started from the creation of the world. One part of the story is this blasphemer. But the blasphemer wasn't just given as a son to anybody. You're not going to see this blasphemer, be a son to any of the tzaddikim. You see this one going for a woman that broke the fence. She didn't go and look for a Egyptian to marry. She simply wanted to say hello. She broke the fence. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed her that there's a measure for measure. You broke the fence. What you're going to bring to the world is someone else that breaks the fence. Someone else that broke the fence. And what ends up happening is that since this child came out of a Gentile father, that meant that he had no tribe. He had no tribe. He wanted to go join the tribe of Dan because that's where his mother was from. But the tribe of Dan says, "I'm sorry, you can't join us because the tribe is decided based on the father, and your father is a Egyptian, so you have no tribe." He said, "No, we have to go to Bet Din. Let's go to Moshe Rabbeinu." They brought the case to the Bet Din of Moshe Rabbeinu. It doesn't get better than that. A person that speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like one friend speaks to another. Meaning there is no wrong answer here. There is no, maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he doesn't understand my case. Maybe I didn't this, maybe I didn't that. You go to Moshe Rabbeinu simply. It's literally speaking face to face with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's chavruta. So the Bet Din of Moshe Rabbeinu looks at the case of this blasphemer and the tribe of Dan, the leaders of the tribe of Dan, and paskins that the tribe of Dan are correct. This young boy does not have any permission whatsoever to think that he's part of the tribe of Dan. Why? His father's not Jewish. After this boy hears what happened, he gets angry and he curses HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. He actually mentions the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he curses it. After that, he gets arrested, and Moshe Rabbeinu asks HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what do we do with him? Now, of course, Moshe Rabbeinu knows that anyone that's a blasphemer, that curses the name of Hashem, it's a death penalty. So what's the question? Why does Moshe Rabbeinu ask what to do with him? Simple. We have another guy named Slofchad that was gathering wood on Shabbat that also has to get the death penalty for violating Shabbat. So the question is not if we're going to kill this blasphemer or not. Question is, are we going to put both of them in the same cell or in two different cells? Because if they're in the same cell, then surely this blasphemer is going to think he's going to get the same exact death penalty as the Mechalel Shabbat, which is the worst type. But since his penalty is less, technically he should be in a different cell, so he doesn't suffer extra, meaning even he's going to die anyway, but at least he'll know that his death penalty is not going to be as bad as the Mechalel Shabbat, as the one that desecrated Shabbat. That's in essence the question that Moshe Rabbeinu asked the KADOSH Baruch Hu. So here we see, Rabotai, that we have on one end of the parasha, we're talking about the holiness of the Kohanim and how they have to be very specific about who they pick to marry. They can't just marry any righteous girl. They have to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that runs the world. He has a system. We have to follow along. And the better we follow along, the better we can produce good in the world. But when a person steers away and starts interpreting things on their own, as soon as HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends them a rebuke by telling them that the deen is not for you, the deen is against you, their ego could easily get in the way and they could end up cursing God. They could end up violating Shabbat. They could end up going against the KADOSH Baruch Hu in so many different ways and end up losing their Olam Haba. Instead of losing a small battle and winning the war, they end up losing everything. Why? Because they tried to break the fence. They tried to recreate Judaism.